Sri Sai Satcharitra, Chapter 50, Stories of Kaka Saheb Dikshit, Sri Tembe Swami, Balaram Durandar. Chapter 50 of the original Satcharitra has been incorporated in Chapter 39 as it dealt with the same subject matter. Now Chapter 51 of the Satcharitra has been treated here as Chapter 50. This chapter gives the stories of Kaka Saheb Dikshit, Sri Tembe Swami, Balaram Durandar. Preliminary. Victory be unto Sai, who is the mainstay of the Bhaktas, who is of Sadguru, who expounds the meaning of Gita and who gives us all powers. O Sai, look favorably on us and bless us all. The sandalwood trees grow on the Malaya mountains and ward off heat. The clouds pour their rainwater and thereby cool and refresh all the people. The flowers blossom in the spring and enable us to worship God therewith. So the stories of Sai Baba come forth in order to give solace and comfort to the readers. Both those who tell and those who hear the stories of Baba are blessed and holy, as also the mouths of the former and the ears of the latter. It is well established fact that though we try hundreds of means or sadhanas, we do not attain the spiritual goal of life unless a Sadguru blesses us with his grace. Hear the following story in illustration of this statement. Kaka Saheb Dikshit, 1864 to 1926. Mr. Hari Sitaram alias Kaka Saheb Dikshit was born in 1864 AD in a Vadnagara Nagar Brahmin family at Khandwa. His primary education was done at Khandwa, Hinganghat, and secondary education is at Nagpur. He came to Bombay for higher education and studied first in the Wilson College and then in the Elphinstone College. After graduation in 1883 AD, he passed his LLB and solicitor's examination and then served in the firm of the government solicitors, Messrs. Little & Co., and then after some time started a solicitors firm of his own. Before 1909 AD, Sai Baba's name was not familiar to Kaka Saheb, but after that he soon becomes his great devotee. While he was staying at Lonawala, he happened to see his old friend Mr. Nana Saheb Chandorkar. Both spent some time in talking about many things. Kaka Saheb described to him how when he was boarding a train in London, he met with an accident in which his foot slipped and was injured. Hundreds of remedies gave him no relief. Nana Saheb then told him that if he wished to get rid of the pain and lameness of his leg, he should go to his Sadguru Sai Baba. He also gave him all the particulars of Sai Baba and mentioned to him Sai Baba's dictum, "I draw to me my man from far off, or even across the seven seas, like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet." He also made it clear to him that if he be not Baba's man, he would not be attracted to him and given a darshan. Kaka Saheb was pleased to hear all this and said to Nana Saheb that he would go to Baba, see him and pray to him to cure not so much his lame leg, but bring round his lame fickle mind and give him eternal bliss. Sometime after, Kaka Saheb went to Ahmednagar and stayed with Siddhar Kaka Saheb Mirikar in connection with securing votes for a seat in the Bombay Legislative Council. Mr. Bala Saheb Mirikar, son of Kaka Saheb Mirikar, who was a Mamaldar of Kopargaon, also came at that time to Ahmednagar in connection with a horse exhibition there. After the election business was over, Kaka Saheb Dikshit wanted to go to Shirdi, and both the Mirikars, father and son, were also thinking in their house about a fit and proper person as a guide with whom he should be sent there. There Sai Baba was arranging things for his reception. Shama got a telegram from his father-in-law at Ahmednagar stating that his wife was seriously ill and that he should come to see her with his wife. Shama with Baba's permission went there and saw his mother-in-law and found her improving and better. Nana Saheb Panshe and Appa Saheb Gadre happened to see Shama on their way to the exhibition. Dikshit there and take him to Shirdi along with him. Kaka Saheb Dikshit and the Mirikars were also informed of Shama's arrival. In the evening, Shama came to Mirikars, who introduced him to Kaka Saheb. They arranged that Shama should leave Kopargaon with Kaka Saheb by the 10 o'clock night train. After this was settled, a curious thing happened. Bala Saheb Mirikar threw aside the veil or covering on Baba's big portrait and showed the same to Kaka Saheb. He was surprised to see that he, whom he was going to meet at Shirdi, was already there in the form of his portrait to greet him. At this juncture, he was much moved and made his prostration before the portrait. This portrait belonged to Megha. The glass over it was broken and it was sent to Mirikars for repairs. The necessary repairs had been already made and it was decided to return the portrait with Kaka Saheb and Shama. Before 10 o'clock, they went to the station and booked their passage, but when the train arrived, they found that the second class was overcrowded and then there was no room for them. Fortunately, the guard of the train turned out to be an acquaintance of Kaka Saheb and he put them in the first class. Thus they travelled comfortably and alighted at Kopargaon. Their joy knew no bounds when they saw their Nana Saheb Chandorkar, who was also bound for Shirdi. Kaka Saheb and Nana Saheb embraced each other and then after bathing in the sacred Godavari river, they started for Shirdi. After coming there and getting Baba's darshan, Kaka Sahib's mind was melted, his eyes were full of tears, and he was overflowing with joy. Baba said to him that he also was waiting for him and had sent Shama ahead to receive him. Kaka Sahib then passed many happy years in Baba's company. He built a Vada in Shirdi which he made as his more or less permanent home. The experiences he got from Baba are so manifold that it is not possible to relate them all here. The readers are advised to read a special Kaka Sahib Dikshit number of Sri Sai Leela magazine, volume 12, number 6 to 9. We close this account with the mention of one fact only. Baba had comforted him by saying that in the end he will take him in air coach Viman, that is, secure him a happy death. This came out true. On the 5th of July 1926 AD, he was travelling in the train with Hemant Pant and talking about Sai Baba. He seemed deeply engrossed in Sai Baba. All of a sudden, he threw his neck on Hemant Pant's shoulder and breathed his last with no trace of pain and uneasiness. Sri Tembe Swami. We come to the next story, which shows how saints love each other with paternal affection. Once Sri Vasudevananda Saraswati, known as Sri Tembe Swami, encamped at Rajmahendri, Andhra country, on the banks of Godavari. He was a devout orthodox Jnani and Yogi Bhakta of the god Dattatreya. One Mr. Pundalika Rao, leader of Nanded, Nizam state, went to see him with some friends. While they were talking with him, the names of Shirdi and Sai Baba were casually mentioned. Hearing Baba's name, the Swami bowed with his hands and taking a coconut, gave it to Pundalika Rao and said to him, "Offer this to my brother Sai with my pranam and request him not to forget me, but ever love me." He also added that the Swamis do not generally bow to others, but in this case an exception had to be made. Mr. Pundalika Rao consented to take the fruit and his message to Baba. The Swami was right in calling Baba a brother, for as he maintained an Agnihotra, sacred fire, day and night in his orthodox fashion, Baba too kept his Agnihotra, that is Duni, ever burning in the masjid. After 1 month, Pundalika Rao and others left for Shirdi with the coconut and reached Manmad, and as they felt thirsty, they went to a rivulet for drinking water. As water should not be drunk on an empty stomach, they took out some refreshments, that is chivda, flattened rice mixed with spice. The chivda tasted pungent, and in order to soften it, someone suggested and broke the coconut and mixed its scrapings with it. Thus they made the chivda more tasty and palatable. Unfortunately, the fruit broken turned out to be the same that was entrusted to Pundalika Rao. As they neared Shirdi, Pundalika Rao remembered the trust, that is the coconut, and was very sorry to learn that it was broken and utilized. Fearing and trembling, he came to Shirdi and saw Baba. Baba had already received a wireless message regarding the coconut from the Tembe Swami and himself asked Pundalika Rao first to give the things sent by his brother. He held fast Baba's feet, confessed his guilt and negligence, repented and asked for Baba's pardon. He offered to give another fruit as a substitute, but Baba refused to accept it, saying that the worth of that coconut was by far many times more than an ordinary one and that it could not be replaced by another one. Baba also added, "Now you need not worry yourself anymore about the matter. It was on account of my wish that the coconut was entrusted to you and ultimately broken on the way. Why should you take the responsibility of the actions on you? Do not entertain the sense of doership in doing good as well as for bad deeds. Be entirely prideless and egoless in all things, and thus your spiritual progress will be rapid." What a beautiful spiritual instruction Baba gave. Balaram Durandar, 1878 to 1925. Mr. Balaram Durandar belonged to the Patare Prabhu community of Santa Cruz, Bombay. He was an advocate of the Bombay High Court and sometime principal of the Government Law School, Bombay. The whole Durandar family was pious and religious. Mr. Balram served his community and wrote and published an account of it. He then turned his attention to spiritual and religious matters. He studied carefully Gita and its commentary, Jnaneshwari, and other philosophical and other metaphysical works. He was a devotee of Vitoba of Pandharpur. He came in contact with Sai Baba in 1912 AD. 6 months previous, his brothers Babulji and Vaman Rao came to Shirdi and took Baba's darshan. They returned home and mentioned their sweet experiences to Balram and other members. Then they all decided to see Sai Baba. Before they came to Shirdi, Baba declared openly that, "Today many of my Darbar people are coming." The Durandar brothers were astonished to hear this remark of Baba from others, as they had not given any previous intimation of their trip. All the other people prostrated themselves before Baba and sat talking to him. Baba said to them, "These are my Darbar people to whom I referred before." Said to the Durandar brothers, "We are acquainted with each other for the last 60 generations." All the brothers were meek and modest. They stood with joined hands staring at Baba's feet. All the sattvic emotions such as tears, horripilation, choking, etc. moved them, and they were all happy. Then they went to their lodging, took their meals, and after taking little rest, again came to the masjid. Balram sat near Baba, massaging his legs. Baba, who was smoking a chillum, advanced it towards him and beckoned him to smoke it. Balram was not accustomed to smoking, still he accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty, and returned it reverentially with a bow. This was the most auspicious moment for Balram. He was suffering from asthma for 6 years. This smoke completely cured him of the disease, which never troubled him again. Some 6 years later, on a particular day, he again got an attack of asthma. This was precisely the time when Baba took his Mahasamadhi. The day of this visit was a Thursday, and the Durandar brothers had the good fortune of witnessing Chavdi Utsav. Balram saw the luster of Pandurang on Baba's face, and next morning at the Kakad Aarti time, the same phenomenon, the same luster of his beloved deity Pandurang was visible again on Baba's face. Mr. Balram Durandar wrote in Marathi the life of Maharashtra's Saint Tukaram, but did not survive to see its publication. It was published later on by his brothers in 1928. In a short note on Balram's life given in the beginning of the book, the above account of Balram's visit has been fully corroborated therein. Wide page 6 of the book. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Sai Ram.